Hello everyone, it's Umber Rays here, and today I'm going to start the video off with a little bit of a joke. You know, I always refer to Visior as Lapis, and that's just from the fact that I played Brave Exvius for so long, and essentially it's a blue crystal-y resource that you can spend money on, so of course, to me it's just Lapis, and Lapis was a much better name. And I used to think that until last night's live stream, where actually uh, it occurred to me that we have this problem in the Wotv community where, you have essentially free, the free Visior and you have the paid Visior. And honestly, it occurred to me that we've never, as a community, at least as far as I know, no one's ever come up with a really good name for it. But so here it is. What's the difference between what you call the paid and free resource in this game? Well, the free resource you can call Visior. The paid resource you can call Visaor. That's the joke. So anyway, now on with the actual rest of the video, and today we got some reviews to talk about, specifically about two brand new characters that have come to the JP side right before the introduction of Final Fantasy VII Remakes content, which will be revealed on Saturday and will be live next week, probably on midnight of the 21st. So, like right when it changes over to the 21st on the Japanese side. So I'll probably be live streaming that, because it's kind of a big deal. But regardless, these two new characters I think are worth talking about, definitely. But even before that, okay, I really have to get something off my chest. With the recent update version to the JP side, there is a long-awaited improvement to the game that I have been waiting for forever, and I just need to shout this out. So if you all know, when you log into this game, you have to click through and you got to wait for it to cycle through, your daily rewards and everything, and it takes so long. At least I think Global still has this exact same problem. JP side apparently changed it. Now you can literally I was like playing through this morning, and normally I tap through stuff, even though you can't really make it go faster, and it was just gone in an instant, and it was just like, thank you. It's taken like a year and a half almost, but thank you for fixing that. All right, so now we're going to talk about these two new characters, Vermeer as well as Velrick, and I'm pretty sure I have both of those names exactly correct. Should be noted that at the time of this review, the details, full data is not up on Wotv Calc yet, so, I don't think anything would radically change from what I've experienced thus far with these characters and taking a look at their data. So first of all, let's talk about our free new Time Mage. As you can see, I have not invested a ton of time into her, but that should not be underestimated why this character is good, because a lot of people in the community who have been playing this game for a while know that Phoebe is a really good character as a Time Mage. That was before her 120, and that was before even, really, when the UR, it felt like you needed URs for a lot of content. Phoebe was just a really good character that a fair number of JP players thought that she was just really good. And after that, we ended up getting the mid-tier, the MR level Time Mage, who is also a really good investment. So now that we finally have a UR Time Mage, I have to say that this is just a really easy, you should probably build this character. So taking a look at, we'll just get into her main job, her Time Mage abilities, starting there. Don't move, comet, stop, quick, Meteor. In the sub part of her job, levitate, slow, haste, and spatial transition. She has the slow counter on it, and she has high speed chanting and CT change invalidated. That's basically everything in her Time Mage. I have to say that while there is a fair number of abilities in the sub part of her job, which is something that I never really liked that much, this time I'm actually okay with it. And the reason being is that her secondary job is Scholar, a very new class that up until this point, there's only been one other character that has it, and that would be Rule, who came up roughly about the same time as Double Cost Mont. So this job is another mage job, has abilities like Magic Bead, which is, dependent damage based on your magic stats, Sturdy Law, which increases your own defense and greatly increases your own defense weakness resistance for 3 turns, Speed Reading Method, which increases your CT and shortens activation time on abilities, Destruction Law, which is magical dependent damage and attack down for 3 turns, Law, Blend, it doesn't quite translate, but magical power large and healing power down for 3 turns on targets. It is a straight ahead attack that hits the 3 or 4 panels ahead of it. And Counter Logos, probability to counterattack when damaged, which has a couple of range. Also, Scholar gives defense and accuracy and shortens the activation time on its second support. Shortens the activation time and replaces the Healing Flash without casting time in battle. Basically, Scholar is a really nice magic damage class against physical-based units. So, honestly, if you look at, and we'll get back to Time Mage in a little bit of a second, in a short amount of time. Not really trying to make time puns here, but Scholar is just a good amount of DPS in her kit against physical-based units, and Time Mage gives her some other magical abilities, but also gives her some good support skills and potential status effects against the enemy. So honestly, that part of her kit is just really strong. Tertiary, however, she does have White Mage abilities: Protect, Cure, Asuna, Raise, Kiraga, and Shell with Regenerator, and Death Sentence invalidated on Saint's March. All of this stuff is generally just pretty darn nice. I think that this unit can either be swapped into a very support-orientated role with White Mage, or a very much more DPS role with Scholar. So I actually really like this unit's kit because there's essentially 2 paths that I think are really good, and if you can get her to 120, I don't think you lose that much out in her sub part of the kit, which we'll talk about in a second. Master ability basically gives her own attack resistance plus 10. Think that she fit really well on a dark elemental team as well that could use some support. And taking a look at her Trust Mastery, it is the Tenyu Wand, 117 HP, 158 magical power, 6 critical avoidance, and its unique ability on it is a single attack resistance up by 10. Not a bad TMR for anybody who is looking for a mage that can stand up a little bit more to physical-based damage. I could see a bunch of units using this TMR. It's pretty darn nice. Taking a look at her resistances, well... Nope, that's Friendship. Add. As you can see, her initial resistance is strong against other mages, which kind of counteracts what you would see on her Scholar, but I don't think it's necessarily bad. She does have a fair amount of weaknesses to other things, such as piercing, strike, and shooting, which could be a bit of a problem, but if she's slotting more into a support-orientated role with a DPS secondary, then I think it's probably fine as is. Again, you always want more, but it may not be such a big deal. Now, getting into her 120 bonuses, and this is the thing that I think is really, really nice. First of all, Stop Strengthening. Increased range on it. The stop effect will not accumulate on the target for a certain period based on probability. So basically, Stop gets a higher amount of range, which will keep her further out of harm. Also improved is her Slow Counter. Slow Counter will reduce the target's attack and magic power for 3 turns, with the also slowing down CT accumulation. So it's actually a debuff. I really think that on Slow Counter, this is pretty nice. I wish Slow Counter had a little bit higher of a range to be used, but it's potentially pretty strong. I want to see on Wotv Calc just how much percentage it takes down for the enemy. But a debuff on a counter? Yeah, I'll take that, absolutely. And her new ability is Hastiga. So this is basically an AoE targetable. I think it has a range of about 3 off of it in the plus AoE. Haste effect on targets within range. I don't think we really need to talk about why this is good. A multi-target haste ability is just really, really good, and it is definitely a good get for this girl. So overall, Vermeer for a free unit. Obviously, I do miss not having a limit burst here, and it would be cool to have a UR limit burst wielding time mage, but for what is there, I think is just generally strong, and as a unit that you can get up to 120 just by playing the game for free, cool, nice, like it. Think she will fit on a lot of dark teams going forward, and if not, she's just a good time mage to support other units, especially when you get her to 120 with Hastiga, and a pretty solid TMR overall. So yes, big thumbs up, really like this unit. Alright, however, there is a premium-based gacha character that we need to talk, and that is Velrick. And honestly, no knocks against Velrick, but it is really hard for me to get super excited about a great sword user right before we know that we are getting another great sword user, and another great sword user that I've kind of already basically earmarked resources towards. Yeah, Cloud coming out like literally 1 week later and is going to be a great sword user. This is not necessarily bad timing for Velrick, because anybody who wants to get Velrick and not Cloud probably has a guarantee that his Cloud's great sword will be usable on this character, and that is a good thing indeed. You know, obviously with Global recently, Orin's great sword is another potential contender here, and a very strong contender, as a matter of fact. I think that if you are a Orin / Agrius getter, guess what? You really have a good Ice Slash team going here, especially just throwing Gilgamesh as well. And you have a really good team. Maybe just cap that off with Rosa for ice support and healing, and that's just an incredibly good team. And I haven't even mentioned Laswell yet. Yeah, there's a lot of potential really good stuff here for a UR Ice Slash team. As a matter of fact, just pure Ice Slash is actually looking really decent, provided that you got the limited time characters. This character does feel like he is probably a little bit more focused on interpersonal stuff. So in other words, PvP content. I don't think that that's a specific knock against him. Like, if you take a look at his resistances here, he can be potentially good against both physical and magical teams, because he actually just has some magical resistance based on the friend build here. But taking a look at his strong points, he's a very durable Ice Slasher, and that goes into the fact that he does have a fighter sub-job and Nightblade, two incredibly strong ones. It should be noted that for the passives for this build as well, is running the Soldier passive as well as the Nightblade passive, which has boosted his attack quite high. As you can see, 1600 attack is nothing to scoff at. And again, if you were to put Orin's sword on this guy, pretty nice. Alright, so taking a look at what he has, taking a look into Nightblade first of all, has the double resist, has a stun blade, concentration, injury sword, and the most important of all, Drain Rush, which is the 3 consecutive hits and absorbing damage done. That one is by far and away the hallmark of really great abilities in the Nightblade class, and overall really nice. So yeah, that's just a strong part of his kit. Sub part of the Nightblade is AP Drain and Spinning Slash. Also has Counter Swing, which is good, and does have the secret of the Nightblade, which is attack and hit rate up with evasion down. Overall, very strong job to have, and given the fact that he can reach such high DPS, I think that his brain is just going to be really strong. Basically one of those kind of unit type situations where if you hit him and you don't kill him, if he has the AP to just drain you, he'll probably get back to full health pretty darn quickly. Fighter ability has Steel Body Stance, the teleport to the target after dealing damage. Small, restore HP, damage to target medium, attack down for multiple turns, as well as attack down number of damages increase. So in other words, the scaling damage attack ability on that strike. And who knows, maybe it'll pair well with Tifa once we see her. Anybody out there thinking Tifa's going to be ice? Anyway, continuing on. Hansko Break, which is the large damage and power increases as the number of times used, has the continuous counter attack and strengthening either HP and attack up off of fighter's spirit, and not only that, but increased hit and probability of countering support ability. Last but not least is Soldier. For anybody curious, no, he does not have Drain Force. He probably doesn't need Drain Force either. Soldier does have Hazard Spin, Aspal Force, Hard Slash, Hazard Break, and Paralyze Edge, as well as Countered Slash and the 60% attack up support skill. Yeah, there's enough strong stuff already in his kit. Don't think he really needed Drain Slash anyway, given that he has Night Blade survivability. That would probably just be overall, though, I think Fighter is probably recommended over Soldier, just because Fighter does give him some movement options, as well as some more defensive options, too, to make him just generally good against other enemies. As for getting up to his 120, first improvement is to Drain Rush. Apparently it gets enhanced range and absorption, so one of the best abilities in a more generalized class gets even better in a really big way. So yeah, I'm not sure about how much it improves in terms of its drains, absorption, or if it's really going to be needed on a guy who can get to 1600 attack with only 6000 HP, but it's interesting to say the least. The Secret of the Nightblade also gets a nice improvement that synergizes very well with Drain Rush, with attack, hit rate up, but also healing power up now. In other words, so if you run that, he just has improved healing, and I think that is a very strong combination. Also, if you consider his final ability at 120, which is Midnight Wall. Put a barrier up to reduce physical damage to yourself 3 times. So overall, not looking at the limit burst yet, Velrick is a very strong character. He is very good at going up against other physical-based units. He probably has a little bit too much of a weakness against magic, which is why they've currently built him with Vermeer to be a little more magic resistant. But that being said, I think that this unit is a very strong unit, very powerful. If there's ever a wind elemental boss, holy cow, is it going to dive incredibly fast to Velrick. Alright, we're just going to switch over to the summon screen as per usual to talk about TMR and take a look at his limit burst. Because once again, we have another ice unit where for some reason that limit burst just went, you know what? Fire. So he really is Auron's best friend. I think they're going to get along amazingly. Anyway, after increasing Ding, your own defense penetration rate, damage large to target with a probability of basically no actions for 3 turns. Very powerful counter against other units. This character is very strong. Last but not least is his TMR, which I can just click on here to me screens. 493 HP, 10 hit, and 10 defense, with an ability that not only hits him, but also the ability surrounding, or units surrounding him. Defense up, brave up of allies within range centered around himself for 3 turns. Multi-turn effects are really good, and this at the start of battle is just going to be great for physical units. Yeah, okay, so overall, this unit is a pretty easy recommendation for anyone who's been going on Ice Slash characters. If you have a 120 Gilgamesh, if you have a 120 Auron, if you have a 99 Agrish, she'll get there someday, boys. And a very near future a 120 Laswell for the JP side players. This unit is just insanely synergistic. He is by far a unit that could lead the charge against a enemy group. He has a high amount of attack power, a good amount of HP as well to support it. He'll probably survive and then just be able to heal up incredibly easy based on his 120 kit. And there's just so much ice synergy now with Ice Slash. It really is probably a underwritten a powerful group. The only thing that I think was probably a little bit scary is the fact that fire as an element might just hard counter him a little bit too much. Rain is going to be getting his 120, and that is potentially a fire magic source. And into the future, you have to remember that Lord Mont already exists and Larudo already exists, and both of those units could be good counters too. But there will probably be more fire units in the future, so going all in on ice will be very strong for PvE content. It'll be interesting to see where it exactly falls in terms of, other stuff. And Velrick gets a big, strong recommendation in terms of if you are just in on those ice units. I think he is a great addition to the collection. If you're waiting for Final Fantasy VII, though, it might be worth remembering that Cloud is probably going to be a very similar unit for a different element. So yeah, we'll definitely be taking a look at all of that stuff when it happens. But both units, pretty strong overall. I'm kind of surprised, and pleasantly surprised at that. Other than that, I'm just going to leave you with one final thought for this video. FF7 event is coming up. Are we going to get, a Shinra porcelain tower? Fingers crossed. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and see you next time. Let me know what you think of the 2 new units, and whether or not you'd be interested in adding them to your collection. See you next time.